Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to the program. Over the next few minutes, we'll take you from the United States and around the world, covering all the top stories of the day. But before that, let's take a look at the latest headlines. President Joe Biden has decided to block the proposed $14 billion purchase of U.S. steel by Japan's Nippon Steel. The decision comes as a major boost to the American steel industry. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will visit South Korea next week amid major political instability. The nation is one of America's closest allies in the region, and on Friday, South Korean police attempted to arrest impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol over his recent martial law declaration. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will send a delegation of senior security officials to Qatar to negotiate a hostage release deal with Hamas. This after Israel bombed and killed at least 40 civilians in central Gaza on Friday. Slovakia cuts humanitarian aid to over 130,000 Ukrainian refugees to protest Ukraine shutting off a pipeline allowing Russia to send natural gas into Europe. Being the main entry point for the fuel, Slovakia will now lose millions of dollars in transit fees. And Ghana announces sweeping travel policies enabling citizens of other African nations to travel to their country without a visa. The new immigration approach is aimed at strengthening ties across the continent and boosting Ghana's tourism industry. We begin in the United States, where incoming President Donald Trump has blamed the recent fatal attacks in New Orleans and Las Vegas on President Joe Biden's immigration policies. In a social media post, Donald Trump said President Biden's open border policy is the reason behind increasing radical Islamic terrorism and other violent crimes in the country. The Republican added that President Biden and his allies have also caused lasting damage to the United States. Donald Trump's comments come after the terror attack in New Orleans and a Tesla Cybertruck blast outside the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas fueled the narrative that crime is spiraling out of control in the final days of the Biden administration. Seizing on the tense situation, Donald Trump supporters are leading with the idea that only the upcoming national security team and a crackdown on immigration will fix the issue. Trump's controversial cabinet picks are trying to capitalize on these attacks to secure a quick Senate confirmation, a battle that is expected to come in the coming weeks. Notably, Donald Trump and his allies initially claimed that the New Orleans attacker who drove a truck with an ISIS flag into a crowd killing 15 was an immigrant. However, the FBI said that the suspect, who was shot dead by the police, was a U.S. Army veteran born in Texas and had been inspired by the terrorist group to carry out the attack. Meanwhile, on Thursday, President Biden said the attacker acted alone and there was no evidence that what happened in New Orleans was linked to the explosion in Las Vegas.
As I said yesterday, the attacker posted several videos just several hours before the attack, indicating his strong support for ISIS. Federal law enforcement and the intelligence community are actively investigating any foreign or domestic contacts and connections that could possibly be relevant to the attack. And so we're also continuing to investigate whether or not there's any connection between the New Orleans attack and the explosion in Las Vegas. As of now, they've just been briefed. They have not found any evidence of such a connection thus far.
The outgoing commander-in-chief added that ISIS will find no safe harbor in the United States.
People in New Orleans are sending an unmistakable message. They will not let this attack or the attackers' deluded ideology overcome us. None of us should fear that he'll overcome us. We're going to continue to relentlessly pursue ISIS and other terrorist organizations where they are, and they'll find no safe harbor here. I'll continue to provide updates in New Orleans and Las Vegas as the facts develop.
Meanwhile, new details have emerged about the driver inside the Tesla Cybertruck that burst into flames outside the president-elect's hotel. Authorities have identified the man as Matthew Livelsberger, an active-duty U.S. Army soldier who was on leave when he died on Wednesday. Now, contrary to previous information, Livelsberger shot himself in the head before the explosion and likely planned to cause more damage.
It's not lost on us that it's in front of, of the Trump building, that it's a Tesla vehicle, but we don't have information at this point that definitively tells us or suggests it was because of this particular ideology or any of the reasoning behind it. That's the purpose of the investigation that we're conducting, is to get to the bottom of exactly what happened, why and how.
Now, as the details of the two attacks continue to emerge, Republicans are doubling down on attacks on President Biden's border policies to inject momentum in the debate on illegal immigration. And now from South America, where a fresh migrant caravan of over 1,500 individuals have embarked on a journey from northern Mexico to the United States. Fleeing economic and political instability, particularly in Venezuela, these migrants are racing against time to cross the border before President-elect Donald Trump takes office. The group has also appealed to Mexican authorities for support while trekking under the watchful eyes of the country's National Guard.
We just want them to support us and let us move on. We don't want to stay here. We want to reach a future, the American dream, where we are treated like people, where we can live and take care of our families, our children, and the people we leave behind, who are our family.
And now adding to the urgency is the fear that the Trump administration will dismantle programs introduced by President Joe Biden, including CBP-1, which allows migrants to schedule appointments at the ports of entry for the United States. For months, the Mexican government has been running a program to transport migrants with confirmed appointments to the northern border cities. While these measures offer some relief, the limited availability of seats on buses, however, has left many stranded, anxiously awaiting their turn.
A lot of sadness. You see in this camp, sometimes people cry. There are people who have been here for more than 6 months. They cry, they get desperate, and don't know what to do. There are many people who wanted to come here. Their destination was Mexico, but there are others who are just passing through, and now they are stuck here.
Tensions have also been fueled by heightened immigration enforcement within Mexico, where authorities reportedly detained nearly 500,000 irregular migrants in the last 3 months of 2024.
As you can see, there has been a very dramatic decrease, I would say, of 75% compared to exactly 1 year ago. We think it's a model that works, it can be improved, but has responded satisfactorily to this phenomenon that continues and will continue with us.
And in reality, this famous strategy of the federal government, up to now, is to disperse the caravans in a truly dirty way. Because they deceive the women and separate the children and take away the father. They take the mother and child to Mérida, they return the father to Villahermosa or Tapachula, and it takes them 1 or 2 months to reunite at the southern border.
Now, despite the challenges, migrants continue to push northward, motivated by the hope of securing legal entry before the window closes. Meanwhile, the Mexican government faces mounting pressure from both Donald Trump and human rights activists for the migrant crisis. With the caravan advancing and political shifts on the horizon, the fate of thousands hangs in the balance, leaving one pressing question: will they make it in time? And staying in South America, the government of Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro has announced a $100,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of his exiled rival, Edmundo Gonzalez. Venezuelan police have also posted a photo of the opposition leader on social media with the tagline, "Wanted." Gonzalez fled to Spain last September after Venezuelan authorities issued an arrest warrant accusing him of conspiracy and racketeering. Last month, Gonzalez vowed to return to Caracas and formed his government before the disputed leader, Nicolas Maduro, takes office for a third term next week.
I feel in a position to assume the mandate that was given to me by the will of the people on the July 28th. With fear you don't go to war. So I am convinced that I will travel to Venezuela by any means.
Now, shortly after Venezuela announced the bounty, Gonzalez said he was traveling to Argentina to meet with President Javier Milei, a strong critic of Nicolas Maduro. The 75-year-old asked Venezuelans to rally in the central Plaza de Mayo, a city square and the main foundational site of Buenos Aires. Notably, Gonzalez was little known in Venezuela when he registered to run for president in March of last year. However, the low-key former diplomat quickly rose to popularity and surpassed Nicolas Maduro in the opinion polls. Later in July, Gonzalez and other opposition leaders accused Nicolas Maduro of rigging the vote in the presidential election. The government-leaning National Electoral Council had declared incumbent Maduro the winner. However, it failed to provide the voting tallies to back the result. Meanwhile, the opposition collected and published more than 80% of the voting tallies that showed Gonzalez as the overwhelming winner.
This is a legal controversy. It's not our responsibility to define it. During the process, it will be defined if the electoral chamber of the TSJ, Supreme Court of Justice, is competent. It is clear to us that the CNE has the capacity and should publish the final tallies of the July 28th voting process in the name of the most important value of democracy, or the vote. People demand respect for the vote and the results. For this to finish, the constitutional entity must do an official publication in accordance to the law.
The disputed election of Nicolas Maduro also sparked protests at home and abroad, which ended up in clashes with the police. The violent protests left nearly 30 people dead, 200 injured, and more than 2,500 arrested. Nicolas Maduro
reporting what they have called state terrorism practices. What they have done is brutal. Over 2,500 people are detained, including more than 150 children. Imprisoned children, kidnapped by Nicolas Maduro. Children who have been beaten, forced to record videos where they praise Nicolas Maduro. This has no name. 13, 14-year-old children. There is no name for this.
Now, Nicolas Maduro, who is blamed for leading oil-rich Venezuela to economic ruin, has been accused of acting like a dictator by silencing dissent and clinging to power. Maduro was handpicked by the country's late socialist icon Hugo Chavez to succeed upon his death in 2013, but several nations, including the United States, have rejected his recent contested victory. Rolex is rolling into 2025 hot with a price hike. The Swiss watchmaker's gold models have seen staggering increases, with some rising up to 14% in 2025. Popular pieces like the Daytona and GMT Master are now even further out of reach for many, cementing Rolex's status as a symbol of exclusivity. Now, what's behind these soaring prices, and how are gold and other minerals reshaping the world of luxury timepieces? Our next report brings you more.
Rolex, synonymous with luxury, is becoming even pricier in 2025. The iconic Swiss watchmaker has increased prices, with gold models bearing the brunt. According to enthusiast sites tracking prices, some gold watches saw a staggering 14% increase. In contrast, steel models experienced a modest 3% hike. Among the models affected, the Daytona stands out. Its white gold version, paired with an Oysterflex bracelet, now costs $38,100, which is up from $35,000 last year. Another favorite, the GMT Master in yellow gold, jumped over 7% to $46,647 from $43,560 last year. These hikes mirror Rolex's annual tradition of price adjustments. However, this time it's fueled by soaring gold prices. Gold, which is the lifeblood of luxury, surged 27% in 2024. Central banks worldwide cut interest rates, driving investors toward gold. Luxury buyers, however, remain undeterred. Wealthy clientele view Rolex watches as investments, unaffected by economic fluctuations.
Wealthy clients are rarely impacted by market fluctuations that affect ordinary consumers. The price increases not only do not lead to a significant loss of customers, they become a key strategy.
Gold's meteoric rise stems from global economic and geopolitical turbulence. The metal ended 2024 at $2,632.82 per ounce in spot prices. Futures expiring in February reached $2,644.47 an ounce. This momentum has carried into 2025, supported by a weaker US dollar, and the Federal Reserve's actions were pivotal. Its aggressive rate cuts in 2024 lowered the opportunity cost of holding gold, and investors flocked to the metal as a safe haven. However, the Fed tempered expectations for 2025, signaling only 2 rate cuts. This cautious stance has slowed gold's pace but hasn't reversed its gains. A strong US dollar remains a headwind for gold. The dollar index recently hit a 2-year high, making gold pricier for non-dollar buyers. Yet, analysts believe gold prices will stay elevated.
While potential headwinds such as dollar strength and the pace of interest rate adjustments may present challenges, the overall market sentiment suggests sustained support for gold prices.
Now, it's also worth noting that it's not just gold, but its rise has lifted other precious metals too. Platinum futures climbed 0.7% to $916.65 an ounce, while silver surged 1.6% to $29.71 an ounce. Rolex's price hikes highlight the interplay between luxury and market forces. The rising cost of gold, economic shifts, and steady demand from affluent buyers drive the trend. While ordinary consumers feel inflation's pinch, Rolex remains a status symbol for those who are unfazed by price tags.
And finally, as we move into 2025, a new era is emerging, Generation Beta. Children born from January 1st of 2025 until 2039 will be the first to fully experience a world where technology and artificial intelligence are seamlessly integrated into daily life. Amid challenges of climate change and economic uncertainty and social pressures, Generation Beta is poised to shape the future in ways we can only begin to imagine. Here's more on the Beta babies.
With the clock now firmly ticking in 2025, humanity is rolling out its newest release, Generation Beta. These digital-first AI-primed babies will be born from this year through 2039. But don't let the name fool you. There's nothing second best about these betas. Think of them as the software update humanity didn't know it needed, complete with AI integration, emotional upgrades, and a pinch of climate change anxiety for good measure. If you're still scratching your head over the name, it's all Greek, literally. We humans skipped back to the Greek alphabet to name alpha and beta because it looks like the regular one ran out of letters. This also signals how these new generations are being born into a world which is light years ahead of the old analog existence. Generation Beta, however, isn't just another cohort. It's a preview of humanity's next big operating system. Picture this: Gen Beta kiddos in self-driving cars learning from AI tutors, while their wearable health gadgets nag them to sip more water. Their digital and physical worlds will be so seamlessly integrated that asking where's the Wi-Fi will sound as quaint as looking for a rotary phone. Education, shopping, friendships, even bedtime stories will be algorithmically curated for peak efficiency. But don't assume it's all rosy screens and solar-powered rainbows. These kids will also inherit a to-do list from humanity's mistakes: climate change, overpopulation, urban chaos. Add in the challenge of growing up under the scrutiny of AI-enabled parents, who will track everything from their nap schedules to their calorie intakes. Let's not forget the perennial baddies that every generation faces. For Beta, it's less about monsters under the bed and more about climate crisis, social media pressure, and also occasional data breach. While their millennial parents document every scraped knee on Instagram, Gen Z parents, wiser from their own online battles, might try to unplug the beta kids in favor of good old-fashioned outdoor play. Despite the challenges, this generation is set to shine. They will become tech-savvy innovators with a side of social consciousness. They will prioritize sustainability, probably master personal branding by age 8, and maybe protest for planetary rights using their own VR versions. Resilience? They'll need it, as when the planet's acting up and your job interview is being conducted by an AI bot. Adaptability isn't just a skill, it's a survival tactic. Generation Beta isn't just the next chapter in humanity's timeline, it's a brand new volume. They will navigate a tech-drenched, climate-stressed world with a blend of creativity, resilience, and a heavy dose of AI assistance. While we might joke about them being in beta mode, these kids might just prove to be the most upgraded version of humanity yet. Let's hope the world they inherit is one worth the download.
That's all we have time for today. We certainly thank you for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you next Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone. Donald Trump's return to the Oval Office is imminent. He will soon take the oath of office and once again lead the nation.
God spared my life for a reason.
President-elect Donald Trump's first priority: tackling illegal immigration and securing the nation's borders.
We're going to fix our borders.
The incoming administration has prioritized the Russia-Ukraine war. Can they succeed in ending one of the world's most challenging conflicts?
I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled.
And as he returns to the White House, will Donald Trump resume a bruising trade war with the world's second largest economy, China?
If China or some other country is behaving badly, we have things called tariffs.
All of this and more right here on Firstpost America.